You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Sister Wives fans. So today we're going to talk about how Kody Brown actually managed to turn things around for himself a little bit in the latest episode. And he got this sort of a surge of sympathy from fans over Kody and how he dealt with the services to lay Garrison's remains to rest. This is a change, you know? There was very little fan sympathy for Kody after other previous Garrison funeral-related episodes aired. But before we jump into what Kody did that had fans actually feeling sorry for him, hey, please click subscribe. So as one fan put it, quote, "Despite Kody creating this himself, he is going through his own private hell," end quote. If you've ever lost a child, you know that's true. So many fans are seeing the death of his son Garrison leaving Kody as a father who's hurting, and they are sympathetic towards him. But fans also see that in addition to Garrison's death hurting him, they believe that Kody's pain also comes from loneliness that he created for himself, and that loneliness is pulling at fan heartstrings during these Garrison funeral scenes. But in some fan comments, you also notice there's a shift happening. Not with all the fans, but enough to see the needle is moving a little bit where he is concerned. So during the latest Sister Wives episode, several scenes had fans feeling sorry for Kody. So, you know, this was happening when he buried his son, Garrison Brown's remains. And Kody did this literally. He prepared things with his own two hands. And it was the digging of the site for the interment of Garrison's ashes that was a very sad sight for viewers. Kody had his brother Scott Brown and his brother-in-law Tim there to help him. And I'll say that Kody overused the word pilgrimage when explaining why he felt the need to do this for Garrison himself. And we're also going to talk about why this word was just ill-chosen. So fans were hearing this repetitive use of the word pilgrimage, along with some other things Kody did, is this desperate attempt to feel close to Garrison, but all, you know, after the fact. Too late, right? So from everything the Brown family has said, it seems pretty much a fact that Kody and Garrison were estranged at the time of his death. And, you know, Kody was out there. He wasn't digging at the site alone, but he might as well have been as far as fan comments are concerned. Some think that instead of his brother Scott and his brother-in-law Tim out there, that Kody's other sons should have been there. We all know that Hunter, Logan, Gabriel, and Paedon Brown were all very close to Garrison. They grew up together. They were more than brothers. They were also good friends. So why weren't they out there with Kody? Did he not ask them to participate? I mean, it's hard to imagine had they been asked that they would have said no. And that scene drew comments about basically it making Kody look worse because Scott and Tim were kind of alluding to the fact that they hadn't spent much time with Garrison, at least not in the last several years. And of course, that has you wondering why. And we're back to this estrangement in the family. And another word Kody kept repeating was nurture, as if these two men helped nurture Garrison into a man. But that seems a little strange, right? You know, because Kody's comments then seem to point to Tim and Scott nurturing Kody more so than they did Garrison. So while Scott's Garrison's uncle, it sounded like they didn't interact very often as Garrison got older, particularly not in recent years. Just a lot of distance and tension. So once the burial plot was prepared for interment, Kody thanked Tim and Scott for coming and supporting him, but Kody also added he didn't need any help preparing the site for Garrison's ashes, as this was his pilgrimage. Again, that word repeated. In case you don't know what pilgrimage means, it does not at all define what Kody is doing on this episode. A pilgrimage is when you travel somewhere to a site of spiritual significance, and it's usually around some site that has to do with your specific faith. You know, Catholics make a pilgrimage to visit the Vatican in Rome. In the case of Mormons, you know, the Latter-day Saints, they make a pilgrimage to the big temple in Salt Lake City if they can. You know, there's Israelis, Jewish people go to Israel. There's the Wailing Wall. That's a pilgrimage. A lot of faiths have a pilgrimage. This is an ill-used word. So for some reason, also, Kody seemed to equate his work, the labor of digging and, you know, getting sweaty, as doing something for Garrison. But fans thought Kody might see this as some way to make up for not being there for Garrison in the past. Also generating some fan sympathy for Kody was him being ignored by lots of friends and family as they arrived at the cemetery. You know, he just kind of stood there all alone, holding Garrison's urn. And another scene that got mixed reviews for Kody and the wife he has left was that while everybody else was there for the service and greeting each other, Robyn and Kody were off, just the two of them, taking photos of Garrison's urn. And fans were very polarized on this. Some thought it showed some sense of Kody's desperation to get posthumously close to Garrison before his ashes were interred in the burial plot. Other fans were feeling embarrassment for what Kody said and did during the episode, including this. Many felt it was cringeworthy that Robyn and Kody were snapping so many photos of Garrison's urns, and not necessarily they were taking the photos, but how they did it and just the intent behind it. Kody seemed to think this was a labor of love. Many fans didn't see it that way. Other fan comments reflect they thought it was a tacky display. They seemed to feel like Robyn and Kody were doing some sort of bizarre photo shoot of Garrison's urn because they were taking pictures from all kinds of angles, standing up, kneeling down, like paparazzi on a red carpet, but instead of a celebrity, it was an urn. Many fans were outraged and felt this impromptu photo shoot of Garrison's remains was just wildly inappropriate. Also drawing negative comments was Tim giving a sermon at Garrison's funeral in his mismatched floral shirt and shorts. And it was a eulogy that seemed aimed at Kody's family estrangements, as Tim spoke about spending time with the people you love today so there's no regrets when and if someone dies. And no doubt Kody knew there was some tension aimed at him from family members. He admitted he and Janelle were not in a good place, but Kody also said Janelle graciously let him run with his plans on how he wanted to lay Garrison's cremains to rest. And it is important to mention that some fans were quite upset that Kody didn't help Janelle when she knelt down with the urn. Another aspect of the service that caught fan attention was how Kody's mother sat with Janelle and seemed to avoid Kody and Robyn. But it was what Kody said about Garrison that had the sad meter hitting an all-time high for many Sister Wives fans. Kody spoke of a dream he said he'd had of Garrison, who told Kody in the dream that he's in a good place and is happy today. That had fans feeling simultaneously sad and embarrassed for Kody. As one fan said, quote, Garrison was not there to forgive Kody for their estrangement, end quote. So it kind of felt like Kody found another way to do this. Sharing his dream with everyone at the funeral kind of maybe implied that he had earned or obtained Garrison's forgiveness, even if he hasn't earned it from others in the family. And last but certainly not least, fans had a lot to say about the celebration of life get-together that happened after the funeral service. That was held out at the ranch of Kody's family, but it looked like Robyn and Kody weren't actually there for it. Instead, they had Kody in a voiceover narrating the scenes, talking about making new memories with loved ones. Fans found it sad. Just the way it was cut together, it seemed to imply that they were not there, you know? So we got to wonder, were Robyn and Kody not welcome to attend, or did they choose not to attend because they felt they would make people uncomfortable if they did? Or were they there, but scenes of them weren't included in the episode for some reason? It was very, very strange. But there's a little bit of a sympathy surge for Kody. We'll see where it goes from here.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast. because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.